And welcome to season 3 of Center Grove's Trojan Beat. I'm Chris Wood here on INsidetLines Media, presented by Ferguson Excavation, and very excited today to have Zach Myers from Fox 59 with us, anchor and reporter, who also happens to live in the Center Grove area. Zach, welcome, my friend.
Chris, thank you so much. It's great to be here. Finally glad to be able to sit down and chat with you.
Well, I know we've worked on this for a while, and your schedule's been a little insane, it sounds like. Mine's definitely been insane as well. So, again, just thank you for the opportunity to do this today.
Oh, you bet. Yeah, schedule. There's I think there's no perfect schedule in TV news. So, especially if you work on morning shows, it's definitely a different animal.
When you talk about that animal, can you give us kind of an idea of what your normal time frame is for a day? Because you're on in the morning, so does that mean you're there by 3? I mean, what does that typically mean for your day?
Yeah, generally during the week. So my schedule is I work Monday through Wednesday, then I'm off Thursday, Friday, and then I anchor the weekend morning shows Saturday and Sunday. During the week, the Monday through Wednesday, I'm sort of a reporter. We call it a floating anchor on Fox 59 and CBS 4, both sides here at the station, and that's just sort of like covering whatever the developing overnight stories of the morning are, which generally means I'm in-house in the studio. Every now and then I'm out in the field. That used to be my daily. These days I'm more in-house, and yeah. So on those days I start at I'm in the newsroom at 3 a.m. If you backtrack that a little bit from Center Grove, Greenwood Center Grove, it's a 30-minute drive because the station is up on the northwest side of Indianapolis at 71st Street and 465 in Tech Park. So I got to factor in a 30-minute drive. And so, yeah, usually my alarm is going off. I'm up by 2 a.m. Those days of the week. And so it's a very, very early start. On the weekend, it's not quite so early because our show goes on at 6 instead of 4 like during the week. So I get to sleep in a little bit. if by 2:30 you consider that to be a little bit, then 2:30 or 3, yeah, it's like a luxury.
So I-69 being done has to help that commute a little bit compared to all the stoplights and
Yes.
slowdowns and stuff. What was it like for you in the worst part of that 69 development here in the South Side?
I gotta say, I was honestly surprised at how well they were able to keep traffic moving through all of that work. Um, that said, there's not a lot of traffic at 2:30 in the morning, so it wasn't too bad getting from home to the station. Although during a lot of the construction, I would go different ways. Some days I would go up 65, especially after they finished the north split work. Um, that was a pretty easy way to get up there, but that would make the drive like 35 minutes. Other than that, I'd zip over to 135, State Road 135, take that straight up to 465, and then loop up around the west side. Since then, since they finished 69, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's cut, say, 5 minutes off the drive because from my house, I can use 135 to Smith Valley Road and be on 69 in 8 minutes. And then if I get on 69 at Smith Valley Road, when I'm driving with no traffic, I can literally be to 465 in 6 minutes. And I've timed it multiple times and it's the same every time. So yeah, that's been a huge help, just making it nonstop. If anything, the only stoplight I ever have to stop at is either before or, after I get onto the highway. So it's made a big difference and made it a lot easier.
So prior to coming to Fox 59, it looks like you were up in the Fort Wayne area. That was was that your first job out of college?
It was. I graduated IU in 1998 with a journalism degree, bachelor's in journalism. And it was one of those situations like, okay, now what? And I knew I wanted to go into TV and just see where that went. And I had a connection at the NBC station in Fort Wayne. My aunt worked in the auditor's office up in Allen County.
Hmm.
And so she had dealt quite a bit with Linda Jackson at NBC 33, she was like the face of that station for years and years. Um, and she said, "Oh, you should call up Linda. She's super nice. I bet she could get you in there, maybe even for an internship." So I did that, and that did happen. And I actually got an unpaid internship. It was a 3-month unpaid internship. So I went to Fort Wayne with enough money for 3 months rent, and I was like, "This is either going to lead to a job, or I'm going to be heading back home to mom and dad's and start a new job search." And fortunately for me, they had a writer on one of the shows leave about halfway into my internship, about a month and a half in, and they came to me and said, "Hey, would you like a job?" And I was like, "Yes." Yeah. So my first job in TV was in Fort Wayne at the NBC station there. Believe my first year annual salary at that job was 19.5. Uh, and yeah,
And in
so, but
2005, that even
then
wasn't very much money. That's the reality of it.
no, no, so, and let alone 1998. So I did that. And the good thing about Fort Wayne was it's a smaller market than Indianapolis, but that also means turnover tended to be more frequent, and it was actually a good station to start out at and learn the ropes and learn the business and move up the ladder, because a writing job turned into a producing job, turned into, "Hey, would you like to try some on-air reporting?" And then that eventually led to full-time reporting. And then before I knew it, the morning anchor was moving on, and Linda Jackson, the same woman, said, "Would you like to anchor the morning show?" And I was like, "Yes." So actually, in 4 years, I went from being an unpaid intern to anchoring the morning show in Fort Wayne,
That's awesome.
and I ended up being there for 7 years before I came to Indianapolis.
So let's take a step back before we talk about Indy and the Greenwood area. As we mentioned, you went to IU. Go Hoosiers. I guess my first question would be, what
Yes.
has this last 9 months been like for you, just as an IU alum, with the experience of IU football, and just really as an IU graduate myself, just thinking about, I mean, it's still very surreal in my mind that you're talking about IU as national champs.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, we all saw it. We all know it was real. But every now and then, sometimes I still think, did that really happen? Because it was not something that I've ever saw it would happen in my lifetime. I truly didn't. Um, the last time I felt that really geared up about IU football was back in the Terry Hepner days. Um, and then we obviously lost him too soon. And um, yeah, but just, experiencing this season, it was like, wow, they won again. Wow, again. And then after a while, you realize I'm not, I'm expecting a win now. Now
True.
losing a game would be a disappointment. And when have I ever been able to say that about IU football? Really, never in my lifetime. So yeah, it's been phenomenal. Um, I wish I could have made it to one of those the bowl games, but um, schedule would not allow it. But my wife actually did get to go to the Peach Bowl, and I was super jealous. And she had the opportunity, and she's like, "Hey, my uh, friends got tickets, and there's apparently still tickets available. I know you can't go because I had to do a show the next morning." She's like, "Do you care if I go?" And I'm like, "No, go, go. In fact, on your way down, do you care if we call you on your drive down? We'll do a live phone interview with you on the show." So they ended up doing that on Friday. They were road tripping down there, and they put her on the show just as an IU alum, excited to go down to the game because my wife went to IU too. And so that was a cool experience. But no, I mean, it's hard to imagine the program is where it is right now. But now that it is, it's like, okay, the expectations are there, and let's go.
Yeah, it's all business at IU now for football. Hopefully, IU basketball gets back to the same thing at some point. So why
Yeah.
IU? Why did you pick IU? What had enticed you to go to IU versus other options you might have had out there?
Well, when I was in high school, I went to Penn High School up in Mishawaka, up in Northwest Indiana. I was on the football team there. And I was also very active in the choir and theater departments. There were actually, I think my senior year, there were four of us in the swing choir, the show choir, who were also on the football team. And so that was kind of like a very small fraternity. Um, I loved all the theater that we did, the productions that we did, and so I knew that IU had a very strong theater department, and along with journalism. And so when I was first going to IU, I was still kind of thinking, maybe something's still involved in theater. Um, that both are there. So it'd be a good place to go, and then just sort of feel out which way is going to, be the best path. And it turned out being a major in journalism, but with the second concentration in theater. Um, and then the theater background definitely made sense if I'm going to try to be on TV. Um, Theater background makes a lot of sense. So that's pretty much what drew me to IU. Um, I applied to Purdue and Ball State as well, but when I got the acceptance letter to IU, I thought that seems like a clear path for me to go and then just sort of find my way.
Best memory from being at IU during your time there as a student?
Hmm. Best
Or best place
memory
to visit, hang out, whatever it
at
might
IU. Yeah, so I was in the Sigma Chi fraternity, and I have great memories there. Um, Made some of my best friends, guys I'm still in touch with today, and um, try to make an annual tailgate with every year. Um, just hanging out at the house, I think was one of my favorites. Um, you know, by the time I was older, of course, loved going to Kirkwood and loved going to Kilroy's Sports as well as Kilroy's. But while I was there, I was also in a band, a rock band called X-Ray Roger Jimmy, and we would play fraternity parties a lot of times. But we also played toward the end. We were playing a good amount at sports at the up on the upstairs portion of sports, and those were just great times because I've been a drummer since I was 12 years old, and just here I am playing, you know, rock music in front of people my same age and getting paid to do it. And just, it was great. We wrote music and recorded some. Um, did our very best to be an original band, but when you're in a college town, pretty much it's hard not to all of a sudden say, "All right, we're breaking out covers," and then so we pretty much did a mix of some of our originals in with covers, and so those are some of my favorite memories. I think actually playing in my band at a party at my own house at fraternity house was just that was a blast.
How much do you get a chance to do drums now? I mean, do you have a chance to do that kind of regular, or is it just here and there? I mean, where's your passion with that today?
Uh, I still play a good amount at home. I don't get to play out very often. Uh, I've I've made the joke that anchoring a weekend TV morning newscast is can knock the rock out of your life. But I do when I get the chance. I like to volunteer and play in the worship band at Mount Pleasant Christian Church. Um, every now and then I can do a Saturday evening service. I can't do Sunday mornings. Um, but one of my favorite experiences with that was years ago. We had 4 years in a row. We were chosen as the live stage house band for the Circle of Lights downtown. So we were in charge of playing Christmas music to entertain the crowd during commercial breaks. We would get one or two sort of like featured songs, like we were playing the music as Santa made his big arrival to turn on the lights. And it was kind of funny because on one hand, I'm like, well, after 30 years of pursuing, rock drumming and stuff, here I am on stage playing jingle bells. Um, but I'm playing jingle bells to 100,000 people who are, having a great time. So that was I'll never forget the first time showing up for that. I'm bringing at that time, I think like 25-year-old drums, setting them up on the stage and started doing a sound check. And this was in the middle of the afternoon, so no one had shown that it was all empty downtown. But I was hitting the bass drum with my foot. They're saying, give me some bass drum. And the second they turned on the big PA system and it just started echoing through downtown, it was just like, I got goosebumps. It was like, oh, wow, because it was like a echo through downtown. It was fantastic, but that was a really cool experience. These days, I do most of my drumming at home. I've got my electric kit set up. Uh, the real acoustic drums are in the garage in their cases, ready to go whenever needed. But for the most part, just for practice and for fun to play, I've got a Roland V drum kit set up at home.
So obviously you were at IU, and then your first opportunity after IU it was Fort Wayne, correct? As you mentioned a minute ago.
Hmm.
What? How did it come about to come to Indianapolis and be in the local TV market? What kind of opened up that opportunity to you?
Wasn't by plan. Wasn't. I knew eventually I wanted to get to Indianapolis because I didn't really want to chase a TV job all over the country. A lot of people do move quite a bit, and it serves them well. It does well for them. I wanted to try to stay in Indiana at home. I just didn't know when that might happen. I was very comfortable in Fort Wayne, enjoying everything there. The company that uh, owned the ABC station in town ended up buying our station into and becoming a duopoly there. And so we actually are that closed us down, and we've seen
Hmm,
that in the
a
market
lot.
in Indianapolis recently. Our we were, I believe this was early enough. They had to go through the FCC to make this kind of move legal back then in 2005. And yeah, so they bought our station and essentially shut down our newsroom as an operation. And so we had very little warning on that one. And so that started an immediate job search, and um, sent all my resume materials out to actually all the Indianapolis stations and other markets as well. But I knew my goal was to be in Indianapolis. um, and ended up getting an interview at Fox 59, and um, interview went well. And just a few days later, I got a call, and they had offered me a job to come on as a live morning reporter for the morning show. So this would have been in the very start of May of 2005. And so that was big change, really exciting. And I moved to Indianapolis to start working at Fox 59, and literally 1 week later met my wife, who is now my wife. Um, and so I look back on that now, and I see how, okay, pieces were being moved into place for my life. I didn't recognize it at the time, and it sure didn't seem like a blessing, but it ended up being one, obviously. But yeah, that was a crazy, nervous, and exciting time.
So you moved to Indy. Have you always been in the Greenwood area, or you a different part of town and moved down here eventually with the family in mind? I mean, what? How did you come to
Yeah.
Greenwood? I guess is my curiosity.
So I initially moved into some apartments really close to the station in Indianapolis, about 5 minutes away on the northwest side. And I was there for about 4 years until my wife Heather and we got married. And her family, she's from Greene County down in southern Indiana. So we knew that we wanted to find a southern location south of Indy, to sort of not quite middle, but you know what I mean, sort of a bit closer to her family, an easier drive, but still close enough for me to commute to Indy. Um, and I said, well, we should, look at Greenwood, and specifically Center Grove, because I actually, my family, when I was a kid, we moved around a couple different times. Um, I was actually born in Florida, then lived in Texas till I was 8. Then we moved up to Indiana. My parents were from India. And when we moved to Indiana initially, we were in Center Grove. So I went to Center Grove Elementary School for third and fourth grade. Then we moved
Really?
again, and that's when we went up to Northwest Indiana, and that's when I went the rest of my school um, up through Penn. But I, that those third and fourth grade years were, I, I remembered them really well. And so obviously I know Center Grove schools are top notch. So I said, let's move down into Center Grove, and we'll be a little south of Indy, a little nudge closer to your family down in Greene County, but still close enough. So, and we knew when we were wanted to have kids, we knew that we wanted to be in Center Grove just because it's such a great school system, and we wanted to have them there.
So one of the themes of this show, and you and I talked about this off air before we started the recording, was Gary Robinson and what he
Mhm.
means to the community, to myself as well. And Gary always had an expression he would share with kids: "There's more in the world than Center Grove." Because the
Mm,
kids are so enamored, strictly obviously, with this area, and not realizing how much more is out there. But at the same time, the purpose of these podcasts are to share the stories of special people who have made Center Grove better, which is one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to
mm.
look to you and see an opportunity to kind of share your story and why you picked Center Grove. And did you ever have a chance to meet Gary, come across him in any way, etc.?
Yeah, just briefly, I played pickleball against him in a tournament in Franklin, and sadly, it was the last tournament that he played. I know he was not just Center Grove community, but also the local pickleball community. He was very well known
Yeah.
to a lot of folks, and I was very new to the pickleball scene. I had just picked it up that year, and we played against him, and then I found out that he had passed away the next day, which was a shock. And it was actually after that that I realized, oh, how well known and how well loved he is in this community, because I didn't know enough to register that at the time.
Sure.
But then about a year later, there was a memorial tournament in his name, the G Rob tournament. held at Drop Shot Pickleball in Franklin, and so I got a chance to play in that one too. And my partner and I ended up, I think, winning a bronze in that one. So that was a good experience all around. But yeah, that was my very brief interaction with him. But through that, I became aware of just how well known throughout the community he was, not between the school and then pickleball players and then the crossover and all of that, just how well known and how well loved he was.
So how did you get involved in pickleball? Because to me, I haven't played it. I mean, obviously it is the rage with a lot of different people. I'll use Gary as an example. His knees were bothering him a lot, and so pickleball made it easier
Yeah.
to play. Um, Obviously, courts are popping up everywhere. City of Greenwood is opening some new courts at
Yeah.
West Side Park, etc., which is exciting for those who play. I mean, talk about what interests you have and why pickleball is one of those things you enjoy doing so much.
I got into pickleball about a decade after my parents got into it. And part of the background there was I grew up in a tennis family. We were
Okay.
always playing tennis. I grew up playing tennis up through the juniors. Um, my brother was actually, he was the one that was very serious about it. He played for our high school, Penn, and he actually ended up winning the state singles championship his senior year in
Wow.
1995. And then he went on to play for Purdue and had a really successful career there. And he stayed on there as an assistant coach for a couple of years. And these days, I mean, he's made a career out of it. He's the head pro at his club out in Roanoke, Virginia. So he was like the tennis star of the family, but we all always played. And so the transition to pickleball was very natural. And I was just looking for something to, I went out and played just for fun. And I realized how much I missed just being on the court and just that sort of competitive, um, spirit, I guess, that edge, those juices, get those juices flowing. So my parents were like, "Well, you should come out and play, and we'll show you. It's different enough from tennis. You need to learn some different rules and the scoring. And but if you take tennis and in my opinion, if you take tennis and ping pong and put them together, that is pretty much pickleball. And we grew up playing tennis, and we had a ping pong table in the basement. So um, the movements and everything was very intuitive, and I took to it quickly and really enjoyed it. So yeah, I've just picked it up as a hobby, a sort of competitive hobby. I do like to. I play a few days a week, and then I try to enter and play tournaments when I can. Um, and now there's pickleball TV. You can watch it on TV, and I've 9 times out of 10, if you turn on my TV, that's what it was last on because there's some pro match going on that I like to see.
That's awesome. So kids are in Center Grove. Do they have a
Yeah.
chance to go through Center Grove Elementary, or are they somewhere else? So I don't get too personal, but that's got to be kind of cool as a parent to have your kids have the opportunity, if so, to at least be in the
Yeah,
same district as you are.
it was cool. We started at Sugar Grove, and then we were redistricted to um, Center Grove, the elementary. Our daughter ended up going to Maple Grove for the EL classes there, and uh, so it was actually really cool though. When by the time our son, or by the time they hit like fourth grade, and I thought, I did fourth grade at that same building right there. It's grown since then, but yeah, that was very very cool. And I do like the way that you've got the elementary and the middle school and the high school, the central, right? It's almost like its own like campus with the three of them. The district has grown so much and has so many more buildings now that's a big plus for the district. Um, but it's pretty cool to be able to um, pick up my son from cross country practice and then literally go across the street to the middle school to pick up our daughter. Um, but yeah, they love it. They've had such great experiences so far. My son will be um, s- going into his sophomore year, and our daughter going into her seventh grade year.
So, what does Zach Myers like to do in Center Grove besides pickleball? I mean, where is your go-to place? For my wife and I, I'm not going to lie, it's a place like Don Cuervo or El Beso. So, for you, I mean, is there a favorite place to eat? Is there a favorite place the family likes to go to? Not necessarily in Center Grove, but South Side, that the family
Yeah.
enjoys.
Um, we live close enough that it's dangerous to Arnie's, and that that's a lot of times, even if we don't uh, sit down and eat there, it's 5 minutes to drive there to for carry out. Um, no, but we love that. We love. We've become friends with Brian at Bonefish Grill. Um, he's such a nice guy. Everyone knows him. He's such a nice guy. And, um, we've had a couple special dinners there, and he's always helped us out with cool stuff. Um, when we're in the mood to um, a little, maybe a collar and whatnot, the new Stone Creek to the south
Yes,
of us is also dangerously close to us. All these places they keep putting too close to our neighborhood, uh, so it makes it too easy to go.
Fujiyama's
But
is coming in the area very quickly as well. So,
mhm, yeah. Um, we actually, and we did go to, and sorry for all the free advertising, by the way, on the show, but the we did check out the new 10 cuts, which is the
yes,
Brazilian.
I want to
Um,
check it out as well.
really enjoyed it. We've been there once, and you walk in like, okay, let's see what this is like, and we all really liked it. So, but definitely uh, Bonefish, Stone Creek, Arnie's. I would say that's our trifecta of different experiences. And then, of course, every now and then the kids are wanting Culver's or whatever. There's a lot of different options, but we're trying to be better about cooking at home on our own, budgeting and this and that. But some of those places are just so good. We got to hit them every now and then.
Well, you didn't mention Tried and True. I'm assuming you've been to Tried or True once or
Oh
twice.
yeah, tried and true. That used to be almost a weekly thing because we had our kids were taking piano lessons um, from a very nice lady who lives just off Stones Crossing, and so that would almost be like a weekly trip on the way there. Yeah, on the way there, and almost enough like we've got to do something else this week. But yeah, tried and true is also another one we've hit a lot.
So, as we wrap this up, a couple of quick questions for you. Kind of looking back on the career, best part about being in the journalist world, TV world?
I would say just the interesting people you get to meet and the interesting conversations you get to have. I like to say, you know, the business has changed a lot, and it can be challenging, and it can be, you know, like it can be frustrating, like anyone's job. Um, but I truly believe, and I've said that I learn something about something every day doing this job. So hopefully by the time I retire, I'll be kind of smart. But it's literally all the stories we have to research and read up on and learn about are things that I probably wouldn't otherwise, just in my spare time. Um, and just some of the stories I've had the chance to tell with people is just it's a lot. And I just love being able to just keep learning. I've reached a point where I have a good grasp. I feel good about knowing what I'm doing, but I also consider myself to be a learner every day, and I want to keep that. I mean, till the day I retire, I want to keep learning this job.
Final question for you about broadcasting. Toughest part of the gig, besides the 2:30, 3 o'clock morning wake ups.
Yeah, aside from the hours, the toughest part of the gig, my answer is different now than it would have been
Hmm.
15, 16 years ago since I've become a dad. Um, toughest part is handling any story I think that involves kids and um, being able to present that. It's hard sometimes to not let your mind wander and put your own kids in your head when you're reporting on some stories. I think that's the I think sometimes the toughest part about it is you kind of you have a duty to be able to present stories professionally. Sometimes it's not always easy. So anytime anything involves either abuse or some kind of tragedy involving a child, that's just so hard, especially as a father myself. It's hard to keep it straight sometimes with those stories. But yeah, I would say that's probably the hardest part, especially if you're interviewing a family member of someone who's either lost a child or something along those lines. It's that can be difficult.
And I lied. One more question. Sorry. And I
Okay.
promise this will be it. Best part of the Center Grove community, best memory you have, takeaway, family, personal, what it might be about the Center Grove area to you.
To me, it's just the opportunities that are there. When I think of the Center Grove community, I think of our neighborhood, but then I also think about the schools and just it's like I've told my kids, if you have an interest in something, there's probably an opportunity for you to try it. It's there, the resources are there, and the community support for it is there. Um, I just think it's just really nice people, really good people, and the programs and stuff that they have there, opportunities for young people, especially in the schools, are just phenomenal.
Well, Zach, I really appreciate you taking time today. I know it's been an early day for you, but thank you so much for making it possible to join us here in the Center Grove Trojan Beat.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you very much.